Success Systems with Johnson. I am with the one and only celebrity welder. Yeah, I call him celebrity welder because of what he has done in the industry, what he has done in the creative industry. He has done so much. He had influenced a lot of things within the industry. He had raised the bar so high that even he himself is trying to keep up with the standard he has set for himself. So I am very happy to welcome you to this session and this episode of Success System with Johnson. Here is Mr. Dotun Popoola, the Dot Man. He has so many appellations. He has so many names. But I would allow him to introduce himself to us briefly before we dive into some of the questions that are pertaining to success systems and how we can replicate it. The floor is yours, Mr. Dotun.
Well, Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for this privilege. I count myself fortunate, to start this series with you this year. My name is Dotun Popoola, aka Omobabari Waya, aka Yagari. Some people call me mad artist, and some other call me wise artist. Popular, different names. But I call myself the welder of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And my main mission in this life is just to use my art, to communicate excellence. That's it. So I'm here before you, and I'm glad. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that very brief introduction. As a means to break the ice today, I know it's in the around 4 p.m. in Nigeria. I mean, it's just 9 a.m. here in Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
So to break the ice, can you just walk me through your journey through the arts, the creative industry? Just walk me briefly through your journey.
Okay. Yeah. My art started, right from childhood. At about the age of 9, my mom, my dad, and my parents discovered that I had this creative abilities. So they decided to enroll me in a roadside artist. That's in Niya's Creative Studio in Okeodo, Ileku. That's in Lagos, Nigeria. But before then, I've always been creating drawings on our chairs, on cars, on, destroying many things at home. And, but because my parents were very sensitive to my creative ability, so they were able to see that, okay, it seems this guy has some, potentials. So let's just help him to bring that potential out. So in 1995, precisely, I started learning art. So I went to a secondary school called State High School Yewele, and I graduated. I finished from State High School Yewele 1998. At about that time, I had learned art for like 3 years. But within the age of 9 and 1999, there's always been creative works, different creative works. And after that, I gained admission to Auchi Polytechnic, where I went to study painting and general art. I studied painting and general art. I finished as the best student, with distinction. And from there, I took direct entry to Obafemi Awolowo University, where I went to do my first degree, and I majored in sculpture. When I finished from OAU in 2008, precisely, I was not happy with myself. I wasn't satisfied with what I've learned in school. So I went back to do my master's degree. Now, remember I said my first degree was in sculpture. Then I went for my master's degree in painting. Now, in the history of OAU, it has never been done before that somebody major in one aspect and that, I mean, you now go and major in another aspect that you were not really formally trained for. So they tried that. I was used as a case study, and fortunately for me, with my doggedness and tenacity, I've also finished with flying colors. My first degree, I finished as a best student. During my master's, I had the best. So when I finished my master's, I felt okay. I wasn't satisfied with what I've learned in my master's, my first degree. Then I decided to have an informal training. So that was where I traveled to the United States to go and learn how to weld. So informal training in such a way that I applied as an apprentice to learn how to weld. These are things that the Nigerian university system could not teach me that aspect the way I wanted it to be. The sophistications you have in the foreign, in the US, the kind of, great equipment. So I had access to that, and that forms the beginning of my journey. So from primary school to secondary school to university, then to informal training. And here we have the welder of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I said.
Okay, thank you so much. That is such a loaded story. I'm not oblivious of the fact that I also I have known you for quite some time now, and I know some of the things you have done. I remembered when you were still doing your sculpture work. I mean that's beside that is in front of Okiodo High School. There is this small studio you have there where you create, design, and come up with a lot of sculpture. We'll get to that story though. We'll get to Okiodo story. Let's leave that for now. But now, thank you for that. Okay. And I know that in your journey so far, you have been successful. I mean, people have celebrated you. You have been awarded different accolades. You have different invitations within and outside of Nigeria and outside of Africa. You have been to Dubai. You have been to Qatar. You have been to Turkey, and you can name it, even in the US. So now you have been successful. If you are to describe success in your own terms, what is success to Dotun?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think success to me is having the opportunity to use my work to make somebody happy. Now, let me break. People use art for different purposes. For me, my art is therapeutic. If you look at the world now, a lot of people are passing through difficult times. But I have had different testimony that when they see my work, when they set their eyes on some of my sculptures, there's a burden that goes out of them. There's this joy that comes in. And that alone gives me joy. And that makes me feel that, yes, I have achieved what I have come to do on this planet. I mean, beyond monetary terms, money is there, house, cars, every other thing, all the material things are there. But that may not really define what success is, because I feel that making the next person fulfilling their dream, making them achieving their best, making them realize that they are important, which my art can induce, which my art can, translate to them. So that is my own definition of success. So when I see a client, smile and feel happy by my work, then I feel relieved, and I feel so joyful that yes, I have succeeded. And I think that's my day. Yeah.
Well, that is very strange. I mean, and I'm going to tell you why it is strange, because we are both from Africa, and we know that by the standard of some people in Nigeria and in other parts of African country, being successful means that when you amass a lot of wealth, when you have so many cars, when you have so many houses, when you go around the street and people are hailing you, and there are people are hailing you around the street. But now your own definition of success is coming from an intangible angle, because you said when your piece of heart is bringing smile on the faces of your client, then you are successful. So therefore, it means that if your art is not doing that, you feel you are not successful, right? Even though it's giving you money.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. And then the other thing I got from your definition is that your heart is actually therapeutic. That is equally strange. Strange until I became friend with you and also with Adewale, who is using his art too to bring smile. I mean, these are very strange things to me. I mean, as somebody who is in a technical world, I'm an engineer. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that a piece of art, maybe in from what you are sculpture or whatever, or music like Adewale is using, would it's something that people would always want to do, and that would make some people to be successful. That is strange, but then that is also equally a learning process for me, and I think we need to begin to pay attention. And I need to thank you, because you are actually drawing attention to the arts industry more than ever before, because now people are realizing that art is beyond what we think it is. What people may have thought, this is what art is, but you have taken it. That's why I said you are setting the bar so high that even you yourself, you are struggling to meet that standard. Anyways, thank you for that. I'm going to follow up with this question. If you have defined success from your own perspective as putting smile on the faces of your clients, so what are the factors that have contributed to that success of yours?
Yeah, before a work of art can make somebody smile, the artist would have gone through the process of several bruises in his hands, several night shifts, several cuts in my fingers, burn my hands, and several studies. For me to achieve a great piece of art, I do a lot of anatomy study, especially for my animals and mine that I create. I do a lot of studies. I do a lot of hard work. Now, success in a literal form comes, from working hard and achieving greatness. Now, that is the normal definition, the usual definition. For me as an artist, before my work can make anybody happy, I have paid the price of pains, the price of agony, the rigors of cutting, breaking it down, destroying it, doing it again. Because I just believe that art is not just what you just create within seconds. So the process of creating a work that makes my client happy is always a tough time. And, if you want to remain relevant, and you want your work to still keep people happy, you have to pass through those tough times. There's no two ways around it. So in another way, before anybody can achieve success in life, you must have some tough time story. You must have some hard time story. Recently, I heard that Elon Musk lost about 200 billion in just trying to discover something that will give humanity peace, trying to give humanity, something innovative, futuristic. So in that manner, success to him is no more about the money. Success to someone like that is innovation, tech, artificial intelligence, and all those things that would make the future generation to be happy about what he has done. So in the process of creating joy for my people, my clients, and whoever that loves my work, I pay the price of hard work. And that's it.
Thank you. And I like the fact that you mentioned something that is so dear to me. You talked about process. That a lot of things go into your piece of art. Number one, it goes through a lot of process. Part of the process include hard work. Part of the process include sometimes, I remember there was a time you shared something that you were building something and you have to break it down again and then start all over again.
Absolutely.
Break it down and start over again until you feel it is perfect. Process is a key that is missing in our environment these days. People like to cut corners a lot, and that is why we have not been able to replicate success as it's supposed to be. You have replicated your success several times because you have and you continue to follow process. So that is very key. So I hope my listeners they are getting this, that in order to be able to have a sustaining an enduring success, it has to go through process, part of which is hard work, part of which is a deep thoughts, and having to think through the eyes of the person that have been seeing your piece of art, because that is the end product. Because if I go back to your definition, the end product to your own art is the joy in the hearts and the laughter and the smile in the faces of your clients. Which is now, that means that everything must go. You are looking, when you are building your art, you are looking at it from the angle of that person. How will this person see? Okay, if you look at it from this side, will you be happy? If you look at it from the top, will you be happy? If you look at it from afar, will you be happy? And that is the process. And I think that is exactly what people need to understand. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that thought. Okay, now, thank you for that. You mentioned something when you are explaining the process, the factors that contribute to your success, and you said you do a lot of anatomical studies. Now, I have a question written down here. You have created a lot of masterpieces in hybrid metal sculpture. Why are you so particular about animals? You have created so many animals. I know you have created more animals than any other piece of hybrid metal sculpture. Why are you so passionate and interested in animal hybrid metal sculpture?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Well, there are several factors that are responsible for that. The first thing I will tell you is that if we look at the way God created man and animal, the way God created human being, created the world in general, I personally have this feeling that animals are more sincere than we human beings. When an animal wants to express their emotion, they express it in a very clear and clean terms. When a dog loves you, irrespective of your negativity on that dog or brutality you put on him, that dog, the next day, the dog will love you. The same thing with other animals. When a horse loves you, is unconditional. But the human race sometimes can be very funny. Let me use that word. Another angle to this is that most of my works, the body of my works that I have done so far, I have used them to create a zoomorphic representation. Now, what do I mean by zoomorphic representation is when you use animal to describe human beings. For instance, when in your tradition, when they call you Omo Ekun, Ekun is a fierce animal, is a bold animal. So when they call you Omo Ekun, that means you have the potential. You could also have the characteristics of Ekun. Ekun is like a lion, So when they call you Omo Ekun, you have the potential, you have the characteristics of a lion. Now, so I use those animals to create folk tales, folklores, to document zoomorphic, ideas. And, it has really, really helped me to also understand human being better. Another thing is that while I was in United States, I mixed with the cowboys and I saw how passionate they are to animals, how they treat animals. And I became more like an animal enthusiast. I suddenly, that aspect of me just came. So when I see somebody, treating a goat, the passion, the love for animal just came. The last thing I will tell you is that due to the fact that I use waste materials, I create works from recycled materials that pose to be a threat on animals, both on the land and in the sea. For instance, if we have plastic waste, oil waste, metal rust waste in the sea, you discover that becomes, a poison on the aquatic lives. If we have sharp objects along, the road, or, metals in different parts of the world, everything corrodes and goes into the river, and they could be so dangerous. So I just use those animals to represent things, to tell a story about how they should be treated. Lastly, animals are being used for dialogues. I mean, you know the book of Animal Farm, the different stories that animals are being used to create dialogues. So for me, it is more easy for me to use those animals to create creative dialogues, and that's why I focus more on animal. But that doesn't mean I don't do men. I still do some human figures. I do some abstract works, but due to the fact that I got my niche from creating animals, so the demand on my animals is 100% more than my human being, and that is another factor that we need to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, that is very, 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 very interesting, because I've noticed this. So I just felt like I was going to ask that question, because, and another thing I wanted to ask is this. You mentioned, I mean, and the people can say from behind me here, this is a piece of work done by Dotun Popoola. Dotun Popoola, Meta and Metaphor. This is a great book that it's a compilation of what Dotun had done in the past. Now, the question is this. I know that culture influences the way we behave, the way we think, and the way we see the world. You have been immersed into the Yoruba traditional culture, let me say Nigerian culture. You have also been baptized into the South Dakota, America, and some other part of American culture. How has these cultures influenced your success as an artist?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Well, as an artist, or let me say as a visual anthropologist, in 2015, I engaged in a critical research on the similarity between the Native American culture and the Yoruba culture. I really didn't go into the nitty-gritty, but I did what I could call on-site research by attending the Lakotas, the Sioux, the core Native Americans, the Lakotas and the Sioux, and the Dakotas. I went for several of their initiation. I went for their cultural activities. I went for their dances, their festivals. And I could draw a similarity between them and the Yoruba culture. Now, at that moment, my ideology about, Western, the West changed. Before then, I used to think, the West are just, they just only speak English. I never knew they have their own Lakota language that is not even English, just like the Yoruba language. They have costumes, just like the way the Yoruba people would dress. They use feathers for their chieftaincies, just like the Yorubas we do. They do bata dance. I think they call that sun dance. Wow. The bata dance, they play a kind of drum that looks like bata. Wow. So, it makes me to cherish my own culture that was almost going into extinction, that I was almost being brainwashed not to love. So I came back and I begin to say, man, the Obatalas, the Oguns, the Shangos, they are mere culture and way of life of the Yoruba people that due to the Christian, the Western ideology, in quotes, are making us to forget about them. So this little research about the Lakota and the Yorubas actually gave me that love for the two cultures, gave me that love for even my own culture, and I begin to do my art towards that direction. I did a lot of exhibition in the US I call it there was a piece of work that I did that I called The Cowboy and the Headsman. The Cowboy and the Headsman. Now, the passion at which a cowboy has for his horse, for his cow, is the same thing a typical Nigerian headsman has for their cow. So if we look at it, we see that there are a lot of similarities that we can't just throw away like that. So for me to now, I have to now focus more on my own, project my own more, so that the world can also see the beauty in my own culture. And I think that's what I've done by drawing the similarities.
Fantastic. I mean, because I know you have traveled wide in the US, you have traveled wide in Nigeria too, and I just felt that must have contributed to the successes you have recorded. So, and thank you so much. I mean, a lot has been said about our culture in Nigeria, that it is backward, it is not modern, it is this and that. But that is not actually true, because a lot of the cultural ideologies, even around the Western world too, are at par at what we do in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. I mean, even in Canada here where I live, there are native people too that are into different traditional means of relating to God and relating to the environment. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm glad that you are able to draw that similarity and leverage those cultures to your advantage and to your success. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to be going to another thing I would like to know about Dotun is this. Now, you have experienced a lot of accolades and you have experienced a lot of success in your career as an artist. Even though I know there's a part of you that also still does that does the other thing, but let's leave that for now. We'll talk about that in a moment. But now,